Hey guys, welcome to the show. You're about to listen to my interview at the Slow Comedy Festival with Chris Franjola. This interview was very awesome. Unfortunately, the first part did not get recorded, so we're going to start from the second part. It's still very entertaining. And Chris, if you listen to this, my apologies. I just didn't want to. I tried to find the footage, but it just did not record. And I suck. I'm so sorry. But it's still a great interview. This half hour was awesome. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcast, and we'll have Chris back to get that other footage. But either way, this was awesome, and we really do appreciate it. Subscribe, rate, and review, and follow Chris Franjola on all social media. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Okay, let's start now. It just closed out.
We just start again?
No, we're just starting now. So what was it like when your name gets fucked up as a national headliner?
Well, it's kind of shitty. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how. You seem to be like a student of comedy. You kind of know who the headliners are.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say. For guys who are new or starting out, like just know the business. Know everybody best you can. It's not that hard to look people up, and you'd be surprised how many features you get out there on the road who just do no research. Like I never really did the feature route.
Right.
I kind of went to headliner just because of Chelsea lately. I went from kind of like just headlining. I mean, I had the time. I'd been doing stand-up for a long time. So I didn't really have to do the feature route. But
did you do a lot of hosting?
No. I came up in the LA scene where it was, a lot of, not even the clubs. Because back then, when I was coming up, the clubs were not doing what they're doing now. Like Comedy Store was pretty dead at the time.
And now it's popping.
Even the improv, none of them would do. So, but bar shows were great back then. There was like a place called Red Rock, and it was just some stuff in Westwood, and it was all the guys were doing those.
Yeah.
Everybody that I came up with were doing bar shows, and you got good there in small chunks, and next thing you know, you put together a headlining set, and if you had some TV credits, you just went on the road.
Did writing for like a show like Chelsea Lately really improved your stand-up game because you're always writing jokes? Like, did you ever try the jokes on a crowd before you submitted them?
No, never. I mean, we were a daily show, so that stuff it had a shelf life.
Right.
So you'd go out there and do Lindsay Lohan bits on the road. It was a story that was already kind of, run its course. So you weren't able to do that, but it did keep your head constantly
in the game
in comedy, which I feel like now, like doing podcasts and stuff, does that. It's good to just have your head always in comedy somehow.
Yeah.
Keeps you in it. If you're not going up every night, it's something.
Well, now like everyone and their mother has a podcast, so I'm sure you get a lot of podcast requests.
But then again, it's interesting because I have a podcast as well. But we say that, but not like, I don't think everybody does.
Really? Okay.
Because think about like my parents or older people, like they don't know what a podcast is, so they're not there yet.
Right.
So they eventually will be, I think. So there's a much larger audience out there. I mean, I have friends who, young guys who don't even know how to access a podcast.
Right.
But they'll get there.
Like me, I don't know what a Patreon is.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people don't even know anything about the podcast world. We do because we're in this business. But so I think we think everyone has a podcast because we live in a world where everyone has a podcast.
Right.
But when you get out of this world, there's not a lot.
I think podcasts for my generation has probably taken over the late night. You know what I mean?
100%. I mean, now the thing that's blowing anyone up, as far as like club guys and selling tickets, is podcasts. I mean, look at all the guys who now sell tickets. It's not from TV credits. Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Rogan, Christina, all those people. They're not. It's not podcast. I mean, it's not. TV stuff. It's podcast.
Yeah.
I think people, if they listen to you every week or twice a week or whatever, they feel a very intimate connection to you. So they'll come out. They'll buy a ticket and they'll come out of the house, which is doing a 7-minute set on Fallon or whatever. I don't think does that anymore. It used to.
Yeah. And see, like, that's part with me is like I have a podcast, but like I only want people who I can learn something from with.
Right.
A lot of people will say, "Oh, we gotta do it once every week." It's like, no, I'll do it when I can get someone who I can learn someone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a big name, but it has to be someone where I can learn.
Yeah.
Because I feel, like I said, I feel I'm a strong feature, but I want to be a headliner someday.
Yeah.
And I feel the way to do that is to learn from all these other headliners.
Right. Yeah, that's what I say. You got to kind of know the game, and as a feature, you could learn a ton, man.
Yeah.
If you just, like you said, we were talking earlier about you work with Norm and some other people, like watching these guys and knowing who they are, and watching them kill and crush, and why they crush and how they crush,
and seeing how they bomb and how they can get out of the bomb.
But there's so many guys who on the road, and I'm not saying there's a lot of good features too and nice guys.
Chris is drinking water.
I'm drinking water because I'm choking to death.
He's drinking the smart water.
Yeah, smart water. I went with the alkaline one, which I don't know why. Someone told me that's a good thing to do. And but I feel like there's a lot of features who it's a thing that you'll see when you go on the road as a headliner. They're almost a little I don't know if it's jealous or of the headliner, like, why am I not headlining? Like, fuck this guy.
Right.
So you get a little of that sometimes, where they don't even speak to you the entire weekend.
Yeah.
They'll go
I think we both kind of experienced that last night.
Yeah, last night, right? Yeah. There's a little of that.
Yeah.
This thing we're doing here, it's a festival. It's weird. I don't do a hell of a lot of festivals. As a matter of fact, I think this might be the first one I've ever done.
It's an experience, though, right?
It's an experience. I've been in the game a little long for it to be fun for me.
Right.
Like, they're like, it's a hang with comedians. I'm like, I've been hanging with comedians for 30 years. Like, I don't need to come to San Luis Obispo to hang with comedians.
Yeah.
I enjoy the performing. I still love bar shows.
You do?
I do. I really do. I actually almost enjoy it. Sometimes more than clubs, because you got to be good.
Okay.
You got to be good to get a crowd who's not coming in. They're coming into a place that doesn't say comedy club.
Right.
So you have to be even better to get their attention than you would in a comedy club.
Well, see, I hate bar shows because I'm very sensitive to noise.
So am I.
I mean, what are some tips because to crush at bar shows, I'll be honest, and I'm not just saying this like out of confidence or I'm bragging, but I'm a comedy club comic.
Right.
I'm not a bar comic.
Right.
And I would love to have that skill to be a bar comic. Well, like, how do I improve on that?
My tip to everybody, which I find everybody, like, nobody does, and I think it would change a lot of, I don't know, I don't know if we're on a show together tonight or whatever, but watch
that would be fun if we are.
Wouldn't it be fun?
Yeah.
Like last night.
I think I impressed you last night.
You did. You were very good. You were good.
Yeah.
You were good. And like I said, it was a bar show, and it's difficult to perform in a bar show, and you got them. The sound, I don't know if you noticed, I walk around the room when I first get in to hear how it is while I watch the other comics, and there were pockets of that room that the sound was just terrible.
The air
conditioning clicked on. It was very loud, and so that was that. You're fighting all those battles. You're fighting the bartender, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things that kind of makes you better. I came up in bar shows, so I love it.
Yeah.
But what you have to do is no new guys. Maybe they do. I don't know. Like the moment you get on stage, everyone goes right into their act immediately. Because I guess I only got 7 minutes.
I'm guilty of that.
Everybody is.
Okay.
But nobody makes a connection to the audience. Like, just take 2 seconds, 3 seconds, just to kind of look around. Let the audience take you in.
Okay.
Let you take them in. And then if everybody kind of relaxes a little bit, then you start. Then it looks like you're in control.
Okay.
Where the audience goes, this guy doesn't seem nervous. He doesn't seem... Because when you come up there and just go right away, blah, 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 start rattling off your jokes, I feel like the audience is like, we got another amateur up here.
Right.
But then when a guy like me gets up, or guys who've been doing it a long time, and they just kind of, like, the audience relaxes, they're like, oh, he's got this. You know, I could sit back because he's in control of the room, and I'm good with that. And I can almost feel that when I get on stage. I'm like, oh, he's good. You know.
Now, would you say that that's like?
I think it just comes with time, but it is definitely a trick that I learned later on, and it changed right away. Let the crowd take you in. I'm 2 seconds, 3 seconds. That's all. I mean, you don't have to do it for a minute.
Right.
Just take a little time to let the other guys, whatever he did before you, kind of subside, and then them take you in, just visually, and then start.
Well, I guess the question I had is like, is that a skill you probably learned from your TV sets? Because that seems like at a bar, that's very hard to do. You know what I mean?
It's not though. It's not. I'm saying a very short amount of time. I wouldn't do it for 5 minutes, but 3-4 seconds of just they're gonna let it happen. The audience is there. They'll give you some leeway.
Okay.
If they like that. One of the keys to I learned very early on from a guy named Mark Lano, who used to be co-owner of the Improv. There was Bud Friedman and Mark Lano. Used to. Back in the old days, you used to say improvisation was the full name.
And they actually spelled it, right?
Yeah, and on the marquee it said Mark Lano and Bud Friedman's improvisation. And Mark Lano, he's actually in a weird way somehow related to Michael Rappaport. I don't know if he's his stepfather or something. Not that as means
I love Rappaport.
Doesn't have anything to do with anything, but he somehow related. Anyway. Mark Lano, years ago, I was very new, and he gave me some good advice. He said, you're very likable on stage without saying anything. So with that, you're not going to have to work as hard as some people.
Right.
I always oh, that's good to know. And that's saying in some rooms I'm likable, in some rooms I'm not. It's just whatever it is.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of guys go up there and even the outfits they wear, like they don't let the audience like them.
Okay.
I think there's a lot to what you wear. Look at the comics you like.
I noticed that because you always wear like not necessarily suits, but nice clothes.
Right. Yes, because I feel the suits take it in another direction.
Right.
The suits make. I put a lot of thought into this, and I know guys who are big comics do too. Because it
like
does.
Slayton, he comes up with a suit, no tie.
Right. Yeah. And there's a lot. You any guy look at Nate Bargatze. Like Nate is a guy who when years ago Nate was a guy in a t-shirt, a Vanderbilt t-shirt and glasses, and now Nate's crisp and clean. He looks good. He's got new sneak, and it does
image.
It's an image
right.
that the audience once again relaxes the audience. If you're schlub, then I think the audience almost treats you that way. They're like,
okay.
All right, this guy's not taking this seriously, then why should we?
Right.
Do you see? Do you think that's true?
I do to an extent.
Right. Yeah,
I think that like the openers and the features could get away with that because, like I said, it's not. Like if I was featuring for you, not trying to like throw in my resume because I need to work.
Sure, yeah.
But I would not I would just dress like me, and I wouldn't try to overdress because it's your show. When it comes down to it, your show.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. But like we were talking about earlier, that never bothers me because you'll never be funnier than me. Just like I've said, it's never happened to me on the road ever.
Right.
Like the feature, I've had some good features, very good features, but the show works that way for a reason.
Yeah.
It gets progressively better, and it's better. It's great when my feature's good.
Yeah.
It actually it doesn't bother me at all. I hope they crush.
Right.
It just adds more to me because I'll always get there.
Yeah.
And it'll sometimes make me work harder when the guy's really good, so.
We got to add why I was laughing so hard at that is because outside I was telling you that's what Norman Hotz told me.
Yeah. But like most headliners will tell you that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times your feature will say, is there anything you don't want me to talk about? And in some cases, like don't do this, don't do that. If you have a joke that they touch upon, then it'll kind of screw yours up a little bit. But for the most part, you're like, do whatever, because I got this.
Yeah.
I've been doing it a long time, and I'm in this position for a reason, so you can do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
And I'll handle my end of it.
One time I was in San Jose with Norm, and I forgot who the feature was. I was the MC, and I think it was Sean O'Connor. It might.
I know you look like Sean O'Connor.
I get that
actually.
a lot.
Yeah.
It might have been Sean.
Actually, Sean's now the head writer on Lights Out with David Spade.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he just started like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, Sean, he's a hilarious guy.
Yeah.
It might have been Sean, but don't quote me. And I remember Norm was telling the feature, he's like, hey, this is San Jose, so you gotta keep all that fag stuff to a minimum, I don't want to hear any fag jokes, San Jose, so don't talk about them fags, So the feature didn't...
Pretty good Norm.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You learn stuff on the road for 5 years.
His cadence is one of those cadences that's easy to pick up. Like, I don't know if you're like me. If I watch any comedian, for even Jeremy Hatt's another guy you were talking about earlier, like those are guys that if you watch them for long enough, you start like talking. I was always that way with Brody Stevens. Like I watched Brody for 2 or 3 sets. Next thing you know, you start talking like this, and so. Same with Norm.
So the feature doesn't do so hot, and then Norm, which is fine. A feature doesn't necessarily always have to kill.
Right.
And so Norm comes up and he's like, San Jose, you guys got a lot of fags here.
Yeah. I mean, Norm is Norm's Norm. He's the greatest.
But it was just so funny how like in a way he was just saying, okay, I don't want you to do it so I can make fun of you.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Yeah, that's great.
But that's the type of humor that I always find is hilarious. Like Harlan Williams would do that stuff too. I never opened for him, but he's the guy who I'll always see who's in town because he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I could just tell he does that.
Yeah.
You could just tell just by being a comic.
Yeah, so that's, those are the tips I give to people because I feel like a lot of guys don't really realize that. I know it's the lowest level or whatever, depending on what club.
Fruit, yeah.
Depending on what club you're playing and what city you're in, you don't think it's show business, you don't think it's a show, but it is. You are performing for people who've paid money. So, like bands or Broadway or anything else, those people are on stage. They have a look. They put thought into it. But yet comics, I feel like they're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'll wear sweatpants and a t-shirt, and who cares? But I'm like, well, nobody else does that. Like everybody else in the show business performance world, they try when they're. So that would be my tip to people because I think it does help.
Yeah. And if you look at all the Netflix specials, they all have that type of that style too, which a lot of comics don't really think like that.
No, I know. I actually saw Rock talking about his one special. He's got the suit like a silvery suit, and he talked a lot, put a lot of thought into the suit, and then he realized he doesn't really want to be the suit guy. So I think his next one was just shirt, whatever it is. Because then if you as a headline, if you do the suit, then in my case, I feel I would I tried it for a little while. It almost made me look a little too douchebaggy. Like I already have a bit of a douchebag vibe as it is.
Yeah.
Like a snarky douchebag vibe. So if I put that on, then it looks like I'm almost trying to be better than the people. Uh-huh. So it's a fine line where you don't want to look like, hey assholes, fuck you, look at me in my fancy suit. And so I find a way to. It is something I put thought into. Anyway, that's my.
Another question I had, and then we'll start wrapping this up. But if you could, this is a 2-part question. If you could open up before someone goes up, just say at a Laugh Factory night where it's all headliners.
Yeah.
If you could go up before someone you've never, you've always wanted to, or you're intimidated, so you can impress them.
Right.
Who would that person be, and who would the person you don't want to follow? You said that no one's going to be funnier than you, but there's got to be guys who are tough.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's, honestly, I, like Chris D'Elia and those guys, I love performing and I'm good at it, but, I have a different end. Those guys are going to take the room, and not in a bad way. They're going somewhere that I'm not necessarily going to get to in a short amount of time. I'll get there in an hour set. But I don't come out of the gate like some of these guys, and it's good, So D'Elia and some of those guys right now, I was like, no, I mean that's not a world I want to be in. You know?
Right.
And then as far as like guys I'd like to impress, like honestly, all of us. It's fun to be good at comedy and be respected by. I love David Spade. I work with him now, but before I worked with him, he was my. I mean, I don't know if you saw it. He's got an HBO
Take the
special.
Hit.
Take the Hit.
It was probably one of the best specials
It's
of
one
all
of the
time.
best specials I've ever seen. I tell him that all the time, and he's always very like. He's like, he's interesting because he said he waited too long to do another special. He did one years later on Comedy Central.
He did My Fake Problems.
Yeah.
Spade is like, I know you work with him, but
Yeah.
Spade is one of my comedy heroes.
But I could literally almost quote every joke and Take the Hit. And it is, and I talk to so many comics who I respect and who we ask for our favorite special, and if that's not in their top 5, it's easily like it's not their
Fucking
favorite. It's in
idiots.
that top 5. Yeah, like Jen Kirkman and even I saw Nikki Glaser recently say it was her favorite. I mean, it is so funny from beginning to end. So like, he's a guy that I've always loved.
7-page fax machine. First one says F.
I mean, his bit of the guy climbing into the polar bear, like he goes to the zoo.
Come here.
Yeah. I mean, Spade, just his sound effects, he's got such a great, style that I've always loved. And I know, he's a Norm. He loves Norm, and he loves stand up. So he's one of those guys that
I've met Spade several times because he was on my uncle's TV show. I mean, it was more Spade's show because Spade was the name, but it was.
Who's your uncle?
Patrick Warburton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's a family guy.
Yeah. But if I'm being honest, Rules of Engagement was Pat's show. Like he was the face of it. But so I met Spade several times, and I was like, oh my god, like you're, But the question is, like, I would want to do a set before Spade to impress him, not to see if I could get on Lights Out, but because to have that, like Spade's one like my Johnny Carson. Get that thumbs up,
Right, yeah.
And then the person that I would want to follow, because I think it would be really hard, would be Tiffany Haddish.
Oh, forget about it.
Like, I think that she's the Richard Pryor right now.
That's another one. What I'm saying with, like a Dalia and Haddish, and some of those people. It's just like, it's like it's just another energy. I don't know.
Like I'd be like, oh, dude, I want to do it, but I'm gonna fucking eat a dick right now.
Yeah, I don't really sweat it, because I feel like. To the credit of the audience, I feel like they do almost, especially when you do like a showcase show, like the Laugh Factory does, a Comedy Store does, where even Comedy Magic Club, everybody does 8 minutes and there's 10 guys. I feel like the audience does wipe the slate clean after each comic. I think to their credit, they're almost like, okay, that was good, but.
Unless the comic was very offensive.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but they're always like, I can accept any type of energy, especially if they're at, like, I feel like the audiences are a little more educated in comedy at the Comedy Store and Laugh Factory and Improv than they would be at, like, if they got free tickets to a Funny Bone in Des Moines or whatever. Those people are ready. They know who they're seeing, and so they'll be like, oh, I know Tom Segura's energy. And it's different than Dalia's and different than Rogan's and whoever else. So.
And then the last question I have for you.
Go ahead.
And this is probably going to be one of the most thoughtful ones, and then it could also be one of those tricky ones.
Whoa, all right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How does, as a headliner, I'm just going to say with my no filter, how is it on the pressure-wise on selling tickets? Like,
it's everything. It's everything.
Like anxiety. Does it give you, like, if you're not selling?
I have friends who ask their agents constantly about for the counts. I can't. I just can't. It would drive me insane to get counts. Leading up to a show, because
you want to make them laugh, but then at the same time you want the money.
There are some weekends or clubs or for whatever reason, like the counts will literally be 12, 10, 9, like advanced ticket sales are something that a lot of people just don't do. it's a pain in the ass to go to the website to sign up to they don't make it easy to buy a ticket to a comedy club. I don't know if you ever tried
I co-book a comedy club in Huntington Beach called the Rec Room. So
I know the Rec Room.
Yeah.
What happened to that place? I feel like it's gone down a little bit. I was there recently, and I really enjoyed it. I think I did it. I think I was the first comic to ever do it. It wasn't even open yet. They did like a soft opening.
Soft opening?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I went back recently, and I was like, I feel like they've kind of let it go.
Well, I think what happened with that was you also did Irvine a couple weeks before.
I did do Irvine a couple weeks before, but I'm not talking about
audience. No, we're not. Yeah,
I'm not talking about audience or anything. I'm down.
Oh, like
literally, like the green room had fallen into disrepair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I feel like the thing behind the stage was.
Oh, it was falling apart. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought I felt like yeah. And that can happen with clubs. They can. You got to be on it. People, to have. It's a great little room they got down there, and it could be really nice and they do get good, solid people to come. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, like because I book one headliner a month, and like this month I booked Slayton, and Slayton's a comedy legend,
right?
But like he's not doing so hot on the tickets.
No.
And so like that's why because I want to get to that point, but then at the same time it's like I don't want to be like, oh my god, how am I? You know what I mean?
Here's what the thing that saves me in that world.
That was the question in a 5-minute.
Yeah.
What saves you?
The thing that saves me in that world is I'm not a huge payday at a club. I get just the standard club rate, which in most cases is $3,500 for the weekend. Mm-hmm. That's usually what I get. So you're not losing any money on me.
Right.
You're going to make my rate on a Thursday night with 45 people in the room. If you're a $10,000 weekend guy or like Slayton or whoever, I don't know, some of these guys, 15, 10, I would be so stressed out that that club then, if you're a 10 grand guy, you have to sell every single ticket. Yeah. Otherwise the club's going to fucking lose their shirt on you. So for me, it's to answer your question, it is everything, because if you don't sell tickets, it's over. You don't come back, but they do have to fill 52 weeks a year.
Yeah.
So there are going to be guys who
get that bad weekend,
and there are going to be guys who, like me and some other guys who that's going to be a solid show, to where everybody who comes, whether they've been papered or bought tickets, are not going to be disappointed. So that's a good thing for clubs, because if they walk out and go, hey, this was a really fun night, I'd do this again. I feel what's happening now with some clubs is they're getting people will go to see Jeremy Piven.
Right.
And they'll go, oh, this is comedy? Because they're not like you and I in the game. Yeah. They don't know that he started 6 months ago, so... They're like, I
will say for 6 months though,
and they won't come back. Yeah, but
he's kind of good for 6 months.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
That's kind of right. I'm impressed by that.
He's obviously got comic timing.
I think he has a lot of writers too.
Yeah, he's been a comic actor for a long time. Yeah. So he knows the beats and timing, I guess. But it's one of those things where it's just like there's no shortcuts to this. There just isn't. I've seen thousands of people try and take them. You can see them now. You're seeing YouTube people, and there's nothing wrong with that. I understand. Clubs
like
hiring,
YouTube comics,
comics, things like that. I get them going, like clubs loving them, because in the end, the club's got to sell tickets. They got to pay their rent just like anybody else. So selling tickets is what happened, and I don't begrudge YouTube people from playing Sunday nights or whatever they play.
I do.
You do?
Yeah, because here's the thing. Do we have a couple more minutes to get this?
Whatever you want.
Okay. I want to respect your time.
Thank you.
But
nice of you.
But I have a problem with that because, and maybe it's the Asperger's in me that now I know this. I know half of your YouTube followers aren't real followers.
What do you mean?
I know that they're boots or robots or, I know.
But if they're buying a physical ticket to the comedy club, they're not.
But if they're not selling, and
I don't know. Yeah, if they're not selling, then it's over.
Yeah, like Miranda sings,
she's selling.
Not when I did the show. When I did a show with her, she sold maybe 6 tickets.
Where?
It was at the Ventura Harbor comedy.
Miranda Sings played Ventura Harbor Comedy
Yeah,
Club?
this was like 6 years ago, right when she was really
now
popular.
She's blowing up. Like, she sells theaters now.
Yeah, well, when she
Ventura
first
Harbor
started.
Comedy Club. Oh my God.
And to her credit, that could be a tough room to sell, but what I'm saying is
it's impossible to sell.
I sold more than her.
Really?
Yeah. And I was with Ida Rodriguez.
Okay.
So, like, what I'm saying is, I know as many followers as someone has. It's probably 10% of what that is.
Sure. Yeah, but...
And I'm not saying that they're wrong for doing it. They probably don't even know. Like, my manager Dante said he has a social media guy. That's the social media guy. Like, I'm not saying comics know that they're fake followers. I'm not saying that at all.
No, but I'm saying that if a YouTube person, Miranda Sings, goes into a Irvine Improv on a Sunday night and sells 600 tickets, and which she does now. I mean, I don't know about back then. She will now. You can't blame the club for not having that weekend me who's going to sell 45 tickets. Like, they're like, well, fuck you. We got to make money here too. Like, you would do the same thing if you were in this business. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I get it.
Okay.
So you just have to find ways to sell tickets. It'll drive me insane figuring it out.
Yeah.
And it'll drive it'll drive us all insane. Like, look at some of these guys. Look at Bobby Slayton. I mean, Bobby Slayton must be like, I don't fucking know why there's 45 people here on Saturday. I can't.
A guy who's been doing it for 50 years.
What more can I do? What more can I do here? I just, it's hard to get people out of the house these days, and it's only getting harder. They got everything they need in front of them with Netflix and TV, 85-inch televisions, and everything is just.
Is there going to be a Netflix special for you and like that you're working on?
There won't be a Netflix one. However, I'm almost embarrassed. Yeah, I don't fucking know what we're talking about.
Okay.
I'll tell you when we get off air.
Okay.
No. Netflix,
we'll have you back.
Yeah, exactly. There won't be a Netflix special because I'm not. I know my place in this business. I've always been good at that. I never. I get it. I'm a good headliner. I'm a very good club comic.
I don't think so at all. I think you're a great headliner.
I am. I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But I know what Netflix wants, and I'm not it.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But no, there's not a Netflix special for me. I'm too old. I'm too white. I'm too everything that.
You're old. Like, I got a vibe that you're like 43.
Well. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very young.
Well, I moisturize and I have I do some things, but that's not my route.
Right.
I like the route I'm on. I enjoy doing. I've had a good. Listen, I haven't had a real job in 23 years. I made a very good living in comedy with TV and other stuff. So that's all I ever wanted to do. I used to say to myself, God, I'd love to make a living at comedy. I don't really know how.
Yeah.
When I was waiting tables and stuff like that in LA, I used to think, like, how do I make a living in comedy? Somehow I did it. I etched it out, and a good living. I do very well. So you got, in the end, headlining comedians in this country or whatever. There's only got to be 300 of them.
Yeah, true.
Real headliners who can perform on a Saturday night in any city in the country. So to be one of them is pretty good. Yeah. So I'm happy with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, where can the folks follow you at home?
Every Chris Franjola at everything, at Chris Franjola, Franjola. My podcast will cover to cover. You should listen to it. We're having a lot of fun over there. That's been the best thing I've done lately for ticket sales and all that.
And you're a regular on Lights Out with
David Spade. Will be on next week. I don't know when you're going to release this, but I'm on March 10th and then again April 5th. I got a bunch coming up. So yeah.
All right, Chris. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Wow. You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee right here on LA Talk Radio.